Hey guys, it's Sean O'Connell, the managing director here at CinemaBlend, and I am trying to break down the New Mutants trailer for you.
You're not alone. Not anymore. Do you know what mutants are?
This movie was going to be delayed, maybe go to Disney Plus or some other streaming service. Now it looks like it's coming to theaters, so we get a full trailer, which we're going to break down for you right now. And I get it. You watched it, you don't quite understand what's going on, but I'm a New Mutants fan, and I'm going to break it down for you right now. Before we do that, go down, hit subscribe, turn on your notifications, start the new year off right by following us on our YouTube page. We post videos like this all the time. We want you guys to watch every single one of them. Let's start off by just talking about who the New Mutants are, because the trailer doesn't do a great job of sort of setting up their powers and their dynamic. The New Mutants in the Marvel Comics are a spin-off of the X-Men, and they are always designed to be a younger version of the team, and by younger I mean less experienced. They're never quite gelling as a full-fledged team the way that the X-Men are. They are experimenting with their powers. They're most often teenagers, but they are guided by Professor Charles Xavier, who does not appear to be showing up in this New Mutants movie. At one point, there was a version of the script where James McAvoy was going to come back and play Professor Xavier and instruct the New Mutants through their journey, but that has been removed, and we do not expect him to show up in this film. They are a team, but this looks like it's going to be an origin story where the members are meeting each other for the very first time, and there are some drastic changes to their comic book narrative, which we'll get into as we go through this video, but it is worth noting that by the end of the movie, it looks like they're going to become the superhero team, the New Mutants. We do get a really good superhero team shot of them all together as they're facing down their threat. So yes, this will be the origin of a team. However, I'm uncertain if Fox and Disney are launching a franchise or just getting rid of a movie that was on their books. Now, when we first met the New Mutants in the comics, they were a fully formed 5-member team, but the movie looks to be focusing on one of the main characters from the team, and her name is Danielle Moonstar. She goes by the New Mutants nickname Mirage. She's played on screen by newcomer actress Blue Hunt, and the importance of Danielle Moonstar is that her mutant power is that she draws out and lets you physically see that which you are most afraid of. And that seems to be a running theme throughout the story that's being presented in New Mutants. Everybody's a little bit terrified by what they're seeing happening around them, and I kind of think that that's a physical manifestation of the way that Mirage's powers works. If she's in close contact with you, if she's anywhere near you, she can sort of reach into your psyche, almost the way that Charles Xavier does often in the X-Men books, and make you see usually what you're most terrified by. She's also able to make you see really positive thoughts and calm people down that way, but for the most part, when Mirage attacks you, she goes after your greatest fears. And since New Mutants looks like it's sort of playing on the horror vibe and doing sort of a horror superhero movie, it looks like Mirage's powers are getting a little bit out of control, and she's got to figure out a way to sort of harness that power and make it work for her. Because the trailer starts out with an attack and seems to focus on Danielle Moonstar, we meet the rest of the team through the rest of the trailer. And so Danielle Moonstar is going to be admitted into a hospital with a mentor played by Alice Braga, who is trying to help her figure out what is going wrong with her. They will talk about mutants and the mutation, but as Mirage starts to figure out where her gifts are coming from, she's going to meet the other members of the team that will eventually become the New Mutants. And you'll see some very famous faces who were really famous in 2017 when this movie first filmed, and we know that it's been on the shelf between Fox and Disney for a little while because of that Fox-Disney merger, but that's why you see a young-ish looking Maisie Williams playing Rain Sinclair. Now, Rain Sinclair, her nickname is Wolfsbane on the team, and her power is that she's actually able to morph or shapeshift into a wolf, and the power works out really well when they are tracking adversaries or when she has to use her wolf powers to fend off villains. We don't see that effect take place 100% in the trailer. They give you instead like a wolf sort of growl behind her, but I'm really hoping that they perfect that effect when Maisie Williams has to transform from the meek and sort of vulnerable Rain into the powerful wolf that her mutant character allows her to become. Same goes for Sam Guthrie, who's played by Charlie Heaton, who a lot of people will recognize from Stranger Things. He is the character Cannonball, and he's actually able to propel himself through the air like a human cannonball. And while he's doing that, he's invulnerable, can't be harmed, but he's often out of control as he's doing it. Again, the trailer sort of hints at his ability to do this. We get one shot of his arms starting to glow, but I need to see Cannonball, Sam Guthrie, propelling himself through the air. It's one of the best visuals in the New Mutants comics. I'm really hoping the movie is able to do this and they don't scrimp on the special effects budget, because Cannonball without that effect is just not Cannonball. We did get a really good shot of Roberto DaCosta, who goes by the nickname Sunspot on the New Mutants team. He's basically able to harness the power of the sun and completely turn his body into a magma power. It's generally all black with like a white outline, but every once in a while it does go all orange and yellow to sort of represent the power of the sun coming through. And we got a brief shot of Roberto doing that, punching away something. But again, that's going to be a really costly effect. The final member of the team is the most mysterious one, played by probably the most famous member of the cast, Anya Taylor-Joy. We know most from the film Glass, the M. Night Shyamalan film. She's going to be playing Ilyana Rasputin, who is Magique in the New Mutants world. She's the sister of Colossus, a member that you know from the X-Men franchise, and she is a Russian sorceress, basically, to say. I'm wondering how they're going to portray her powers, because they are different in the Marvel Comics as they've been developed over the years. But essentially, and we do see this happen in the trailer, she can transport herself from our world to another world, where she'll often hide out or bring other monsters from this world that she's able to access. She goes through these sort of teleportation discs, and she wields this massive sword that's really powerful for her. We do see her come through one of the teleportation discs. Makes me believe that we're going to get to see more of that on screen in this. The trailer was, again, a hint of the powers that we associate with the members of the team, but I'm truly hoping that we can see a lot more of it when the movie is finally finished. Now let's get to the biggest difference from what I've seen from the comics to the movie, which is the location shift. The mutants are going to meet in a hospital, not necessarily at the School for Gifted Youngsters like they do under the guidance of Charles Xavier. This is a huge switch, and I understand that Josh Boone, the director, wants to do this because he would like to sort of tap into the mental health facility angle in order to play up, as he says, this being an homage to the third A Nightmare on Elm Street film, The Dream Warriors, where people who were plagued by Freddy Krueger had to meet in a facility and sort of combat Freddy together. And I can see why the New Mutants would almost do this, but it's a big shift to put him in a hospital instead of in the school. What they're going to basically say is that the facility is trying to cure them, essentially, of their mutations, but they will come to the realization that their mutations are powers and gifts and not something to be removed. Of course, they're youngsters. They don't quite know this just yet. Teenage age, and they're going to have to learn to bond together and fight. But because they are being worked on by physicians, mentors, people who are manipulating their minds and possibly exploring their bodies, that's going to introduce a horror element, sort of a body horror element that the New Mutants are going to have to rebel against. And I think that this is a really drastic change that might alienate some people who are big fans of the comics. Finally, I want to get to something called the Demon Bear, because I do think it's something we're going to see on screen before the movie ends. And listen, I'm bringing up the Demon Bear. It's showing you that this is a pretty out there concept for this movie, but it is rooted in the comics. So Daniel Moonstar was tracked down by an entity known as the Demon Bear, and it's something that she believed for the longest time that she conjured out of her own nightmares. Her power, again, as I mentioned, was to bring out the scariest elements of what people can think about and make them see it. Well, the Demon Bear is something that she kept thinking that she was seeing because it was the force entity that she thought killed her family. And we see this in the very beginning, I think, when Danielle is trying to remember what happened to her before she ended up in the institution, and we see some sort of an attack, and I think that's going to be the Demon Bear. And it's a legitimate bear. It's like a life-size monster sort of creature that, again, is hinted at in this film, in the trailer, but I think is going to show up in full throttle in the third act, because when Josh Boone had done a couple of interviews early on, he said that that was one of the issues that he was drawing a ton of inspiration for when he put the New Mutants movie together. The only reason why I'm hesitant in bringing it up is because if you followed the production schedule of New Mutants at all, you do know that when the film got delayed, they went back to do a ton of reshoots to almost change the tone of the movie and maybe set up what Marvel Studios wants to do with mutants going forward in the MCU. Now, however, we're hearing that most of those reshoots have been shuttled, and they went back to the original vision of what Josh Boone wanted to do with the New Mutants property, which was to do a horror film in the superhero genre. This one does look like it's sort of claustrophobic, contained to one location, is going to be some sort of body horror, psychological thriller, and if they're going back to Josh Boone's original vision of it, that's what I think we're going to see, and I think that's going to lead to the main antagonist being Daniel Moonstar's threatening demon bear, and she'll need the help of the team to overcome that fear. I hope that this has helped you guys make a lot more sense of what we can expect to see from New Mutants when it hits theaters on April 3rd. Again, there are a lot of things they can pull from the books to still fortify the foundation of the team and the bonds shared between the New Mutants, because when they are working together as a team, I like them even more as an ensemble than the X-Men, who are always kind of at odds with each other. The New Mutants have always sort of shared this bond of we're outcasts, we're young, we're not the X-Men, and I loved that unity that they shared. So once we get through this origin story movie, I would love to see them continue to do some really cool New Mutant stories that could be pulled from the comics and put into other movies. Did this explanation help you guys sort of figure out where everybody's coming from, or does it still look really confusing to you? Go down in the comment section, let me know what you think about how the New Mutants movie is looking now that you've been able to see the full trailer, and also let me know if you're a reader of the comic books, some other elements that you would like to see them pull in for maybe this movie as a surprise, or even future movies in a potential New Mutants franchise. While you're down here, hanging out with us on the YouTube page, learning more about New Mutants, I want you to do me a favor, go down, hit subscribe, turn on your notifications, because we're breaking down all of the greatest superhero movies, everything coming to theaters in the future here on CinemaBlend's YouTube page, and whenever we post a video, we want to make sure that you guys come over right away and watch it with us.